AR6 synthesis report climate AR AR6 synthesis report climate change 2023. Why is it is in news? Question is why it is in news. AR6 synthesis report climate change 2023. It is in news because intergovernmental panel on the climate change has released the synthesis report of the sixth assessment cycle, and that is the reason it is in news. Then we are going to read more about the synthesis report for the sixth assessment cycle and more in news as given. This is we are going to discuss about the vision current affair, monthly current affair, and this is a March month of 2023, and it is a topic is environment. And in environment, we are going to synthesis report of the sixth assessment cycle of 2023, and more in the news. Let's come to the topic. More on the news. It is a summary of the previous report. What is it? It is a summary of the previous report which were released between 2018 and 2022. It integrates the main finding of the sixth assessment report based on the contribution from the three working group and the three special report. Means three working groups and three special report combined become six assessment report. The global 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 warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius, climate change, land, the ocean, and cryosphere in a changing climate. Means they try to say that as per the report, the global warming 1.5 degrees Celsius, climate change, and land, ocean, and cryosphere in a changing climate. This all are is in changing in a mode. Next point is talking about its aim is to provide policymaker up to date understanding of the climate change. What it is its aim and its objective is to provide policymaker who used to make the policy about the climate environment, and this report provide a opportunity and provide guidance, you can say provide also uh, principle and some evidence to up to date understanding of the climate change, its impact and future risk, and highlight the solution addressed to it. Not only means it's this report aim not only to the providing the policymaker to understand the climate change, its impact and its future risk, but it also provide a solution, a ideal solution to all these problem means climate change problem solution, its impact solution, and future risk solution. Next point is key finding. Here is the key finding present status of the global warming and climate change. What is a key finding? telling that first point is in cave finding, telling that the human activity have unequivoc- unequivocally caused global warming. Means human activity play an important role and ideal becoming a main cause of the global warming. And global surface temperature reach how much? This reach 1.1 degree Celsius above 1850 to 1900 in 2011 to 2020. Next point, talking about major impact of the climate change. What are the major impact? What are the impact of the climate change? What are the major impact of the climate change is going to read, and here telling in major impact of the climate change. First point is major impact of the climate change on the water and food production. Talking about in context of water and food production, the how the water and food production are impacted by the climate change. The first, physical water availability and the corresponding food livestock productivity has been adversely impacted. In this sub-point, telling that this is driven by increase in agriculture, ecological drought, and in some cases heavily rainfall. Next, major impact of the climate change, telling that health and well-being due to a climate change, rise in infectious disease, heat, malnutrition, displacement has been observed. Next, telling that settlements and infrastructure, rising island flooding, a storm damage in the coastal area has been observed. This is driven by upper ocean acidification, increase in hot extreme, etc. Next, impact of the climate change is on the biodiversity. They telling that in biodiversity they are talking about the terrestrial, freshwater, ocean ecosystem has been adversely affected. Due to the climate change, terrestrial, freshwater, ocean ecosystem has been adversely affected. And settlements and infrastructure, rising island flooding, a storm damage in coastal area has been observed. This is driven by the ocean acidification, increase in hot extremes, etc. Next is nature natural versus plantation ecosystem. The report highlighted that preventing the degradation of existing natural ecosystem will be more effective to lower the impact of the climate crisis, yield faster mitigation than result that result restoring ecosystem that have been destroyed. It has put a question mark on Indians' afforestry strategy. Next point in this climate versus plantation ecosystem, telling that climate action such as a technology to combat climate change, renewable energy farms, etc., should not come at the cost of natural ecosystem. Next, impact of the climate change, emission gap. There is the emission gap due to the climate change. As per the report, there are a gap between the global ambition and the sum of declared national ambition. Next is despite progress, adaptation gap persists. Initiative prioritize short-term risk reduction, which hinders transformation adaptation. Next point is about talking about 80% of coal and 50% of gas and 30% of oil reserve cannot be won and immediate. if warming is limited to 2 degrees Celsius. Significantly more reserves are expected to remain unborn if warming is limited to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Now we are going to read about the response against the climate change. What are the response against the climate change? Response about the climate change. First point here is given. Global policy scenario. Global policy scenario. The United Nations Framework Convention on the Climate Change, Kyoto Protocol, and the Paris Agreement are supporting rising level of the national ambition. Encourage the development and implementation of the climate policy at the multiple level of the governance. Second, in sub point, there is the telling that rising public awareness has overall helped accelerate political commitment, global effort to address the climate change. Means how can response against the climate change? First, they telling that global policy scenario, the United Nations Framework Convention on the Climate Change, Kyoto Protocol, Paris Agreement are supporting a rising level of the national ambition, encouraging the development and implementation of the climate policy at the multiple level of the governance. Next, telling that rising public awareness has overall helped the acceleration political commitment. Global effort to address the climate change means rising awareness. If there is the awareness increase about the climate change and their impact, then this accelerate the process of the fulfillment of the political commitment toward the climate change, fighting and impacting the climate change. Also, global effort to address the climate change. Global and political commitment, global commitment are fulfilled by. Next is mitigation action. Mitigation action by 2020, law primary focus on reducing CGHG emission existed in 56 countries and covering 53% of the global emission. From 2010 to 2019, there have been sustained decrease in the unit cost of the solar energy by 85% and wind energy by 55%. The total financial flow of the climate mitigation and adoption increased by up to 60% between 2013 to 2014 and 2019 and 2020, but average growth has slowed since 2018, telling the total financial flow for the climate mitigation adoption increased by 60% 2013 and 14 and 2019 and 20, but average growth has slowed since 2018. In context of mitigation action, have contributed to decrease the global energy and carbon intensity between 2010 and 2019. Adoption action, growing public and political awareness of climate impact risk has resulted in at least 170 countries and many cities including adaptation in their climate policy and planning process. For instance, in agriculture sector, cultivator improvement on farm water management and storage, soil moisture conservation, irrigation, etc., provide multiple benefit and reduce climate risk. Second, adaptation to the water-related risk can impact make up the majority 60% of all documented adaptation. Second, next, increased evidence of maladaptation. It refers to the action that may lead to increased risk of adverse climate-related outcome, including via increased greenhouse gas emission, increased shift vulnerability to the climate change, more inequitable outcome, diminished welfare, diminished welfare now or in the future. Example of maladaptation in agriculture using high cost irrigation in area project to have more intense drought condition. Way forward. Now we are going to read about the way forward of this problem. Asking that in way forward telling that to keep climate change in check, deep, rapid and sustained reduction in GHG emission, political commitment, inclusive governance, international cooperation, knowledge sharing, having a robust funding mechanism is a crucial. In addition, some sector specified initiative can be means way forward in way forward to keep climate change in check up and to combat the climate change we need to deep rapid sustained reduction in the CHC sorry GH GHG emission means in GHG reduction should be deep, rapid and sustained in reduction. Political commitment, inclusive governance, internal cooperation, knowledge sharing, having a robust funding mechanism is crucial and is a crucial tool to combat the climate change. Political commitment, inclusive governance, or international cooperation, knowledge sharing, and having a robust funding mechanism is for crucial for crucial for combating and checking down the climate change. And apart from that, this ideal solution and this instrument which can use to fight and combat the climate change. Apart from that, there is also telling that energy supply. A step like energy diversification, wind, solar, geothermal, and promotion of carbon sequestration must be promoted. Must be promoted. Next is water and food. Improving crop land management, water use efficiency, agroforestry, etc. are some steps that can be taken. Next way forward is settlements and infrastructure. Promoting usage of sustainable urban water management, green infrastructure and electrical vehicle are must be done. Next is biodiversity. In context of biodiversity, what should be done? Conservation of biodiversity, controlling industrial waste, circular economy is a way ahead. And also behavior and lifestyle change. Behavior and lifestyle change. They can be supported by policy, infrastructure and technology to help end user adopt low GHG emission option and technology. So this is about the we are reading in the AR six AR six AR6 means assessment synthesis report six assessment synthesis report six assessment climate change 2020 Apart from there is the news wise, the news more on the news and key finding and uh, response against the climate change and the way forward. They are the something also related this topic I will given. And first we should see here the this is the inter IPCC. IPCC means okay, let's see. Here telling that intergovernmental panel on the climate change. Headquarter is in Geneva, Switzerland. We should keep in mind. Genesis of the Intergovernmental Panel on the Climate Change. This IPCC means Intergovernmental Panel on the Climate Change. Genesis is the an intergovernmental organization created in an intergovernmental organization means Intergovernmental Panel on the Climate Change has created in the 1988 by the World Meteorological Organization and United Nations Environment Program. This both body and institution combine combinedly have created in 1988 a organization, and that organization is called International Panel on the Climate Change, and in short we can say IPCC, and its headquarters is in New Zealand, Geneva, sorry, Geneva in New Zealand. And what is the objective? Objective of the Intergovernmental Panel on the Climate Change. Objective of the Intergovernmental Panel on the Climate Change is to provide government at all levels with scientific information that they can use to develop climate policy. IPC other objective. IPC is the UN body for assessing the science related to the climate change. IPCC is the UN body for assessing the science related to the climate change. Membership. Membership 195 members. Other key information. Other key information. Prepare assessment report. A special report. Prepares assessment report. A special report. Methodology report assessing the state of the knowledge of climate change. However, it does not itself engage in scientific research, and in 2007, IPC was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. This should be noted. IPC in 2007, they have awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Why are natural ecosystem better than a forest ecosystem? Question is why natural ecosystem are better than other important point has given in block. Here is the in vision, also we should have to study this. Here is telling them why a natural ecosystem better than a forested ecosystem, and there is a point in countering this. First point is in counting, talking about biodiversity. Natural ecosystem has diverse species of flora, while afforestation focus on monoculture, creating single species plantation, and that is the reason one which is nature ecosystem better than a forested ecosystem. Nature ecosystem in biodiversity context, they diverse species of flora and fauna, while a forested focus on the monoculture. No native species are planted in place of the native species. A species suitable to a particular climate, also invasive species are planted which is treated to indigenous species. None, no, non-native species are planted in place of the native species, a species suitable to a particular climate. Also invasive species are planted which is treated to indigenous species. Effectiveness. The afforested ecosystem's capability. Next point, why nature ecosystem is better than a forested ecosystem we are studying. And the first point we have seen in biodiversity context. In biodiversity context, nature ecosystem is diverse species in compared to a forested ecosystem which is a focus on the monoculture. Effectiveness. The forested ecosystem's capability to sequestrate carbon is very low compared to the natural ecosystem. Effectiveness is telling that a forested ecosystem capability to sequestrate carbon is very low as compared to the nature ecosystem. Means nature ecosystem sequestration of carbon is very harsh as compared to the forested ecosystem, and that is also reason in nature ecosystem is more important than the forested ecosystem. Also, it take a long time to come into mature phase. A forested ecosystem also take a time, much time to become a mature. Afforested away from deforestation site. Afforested away from deforestation site. Haryana in 2020 announced that it would develop the world's largest safari using Kampa fund received from deforestation in Great Nicobar for development project 2000 2,400 kilometers away and of very different topography, telling that this is not much beneficial for the displaced animal species and it poses a threat of extinction to endangered species. Destruction of natural ecosystem. Destruction of nature ecosystem is not compensated. Controlling Auditor General found in the 2013 that most of the money which has been collected through CAMPA is not utilized. Maintenance. A huge amount of money is spent on the maintenance of the forested ecosystem in comparison to the natural ecosystem as self-sustaining. A huge amount of money is spent in the maintenance of a forested ecosystem comparison to the nature ecosystem which are self-sustaining. Means nature ecosystem are self-sustaining and the forested ecosystem are not self-sustaining as compared to the nature ecosystem. Means nature in a forested ecosystem we have to invest some much money to save and maintain them. Cave finding, we have read this, and next is afforested a strategy of India. What is afforested strategy? What is mean by this? They're telling that here, given that Forest Conservation Act 1980, 1980, under it, whenever a forest line is converted to a non-forest line, use an equivalent area of non-forest line has to be taken up for compensatory afforestation. Means what they try to say that afforested strategy of India, Forest Conservation Act 1988, telling that whenever forest line is converted to non-forest line, use as equivalent area of non-forest land has to be taken out for compensatory afforestation. Understand this point? Try to say that whenever there is the forest is cut down for the some benefit and social benefit, economic benefit, then that much forest should be planted in another place. That point this Forest Conservation Act 1918 try to say that. Next point here try to say that. Next point here try to say that compensatory afforestation. What is a compensatory afforestation? Here we have read compulsory afforestation. They try to say that compensatory afforestation fund management and planning authority was in 2004. Its main purpose was to manage money collected toward the compensatory afforestation and net present value and any other money recoverable from the user agency. Next is global commitment. The government has committed to adding an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 million tons of CO2 equivalent through the additional forest and tree cover by 2030. Here telling that some point is also here given that we should read. Telling that asking that do you know public and private finance flow for fossil fuel are still greater than those of the climate adaptation and mitigation. Means public and private finance flow for fossil fuel are still greater than those of for the climate adaptation and mitigation. So we have finished the strategy synthesis report 6 assessment cycle and what you have vision given. I have read line by line. So this much I have read. So next we are going to read in next class and next video climate justice. What is mean by climate justice? And then after climate justice we are going to read about the draft carbon credit trading scheme. What is this and what you have been given in the vision? That all we going to read one by one, line by line. And then I think there is some topic this global greenhouse monitoring infrastructure, right to repair. That is also we have to read. What it mean? Electrical vehicle policy, forest right in India. That is very important, and we should go this also in a line by line. Landslide atlas of India. This is also important topic. And glacier management. This is also very important topic. And news in short like CO2 emission in 2022 report. What is this telling? And biofuels. And then we are going to bioresource for commercial purpose, then ascetic lion, captive wild animals, Greater Panna Landscape Council, forest certification, heat index reading, a striving for clean air, air pollution and public health in South Asia report, plastic rock and desalinization plants and liquid tree and liquid theory. These all are the important topic. South Atlantic anomaly. These all are the point. I try to say that one I have vision in this. There's the vision MCQ. I have, so I also try to vision MCQ. I also try to make this the question of MCQ and this topic itself. Telling the first question here is the, let's see what we have read. Two three topic we have read in the vision. Here's the first question asking that which of the following statement is not correct regarding the High Sea Treaty, as we have read the High Sea Treaty, and it first statement telling that here is the first statement in the question making that it has been adopted under the framework of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Keep in mind there is the asking not incorrect, so we should, so this statement is correct. Here is see note down. Here is asking not incorrect. So we have to find out the incorrect statement, and so this statement is correct as it has been adopted under the framework of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, and it is legally binding in nature. Yes, this is a statement is also correct. High Sea TT is legally binding in nature. And next is telling that C point is telling that it will only enter into force once 100 country have ratified it. No, 100 country no. This is a 60 country. 60 country have to ratify, then it will only enter into force. And D, it is also referred to as the Paris Agreement for the ocean. It is also referred to as the Paris Agreement for the ocean. This statement is also this is also referred to as the Paris Agreement of the ocean. Next question is here asking that recently United Nations 2023 Water Conference was held in the New York, co-hosted by the Netherlands, Tajikistan. In this context, consider the following statement. I'm telling it is the only second UN conference dedicated to the water. Yes, this statement is correct. Next, telling that is aimed to promote the comprehensive understanding and appreciation of the importance of the water, sanitation, hygiene to facilitate effective management of these critical resources. Yes, this statement is also correct. So, both statement 1 and 2 is correct. Next question is asking that United Nations World Water Development Report was released by, and in option A is telling the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. B is telling the World Meteorological Organization. C is telling the United Nations Environment Program, and D is telling that none of the above. And is first one United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization is the report released by the this UNESCO. UNESCO. In short, this is called UNESCO, United Nations Education, Scientific and Culture Organization. Next is telling that next is telling consider the following statement regarding the intergovernmental panel of the climate change. This we have reading. I need this telling that first statement it is the UN body for assessing the science related to the climate change. Yes. It prepare assessment report, a spatial report, methodology report, assessing the state to the knowledge of the climate change. Yes, this statement is also so. I think C is the correct statement. Climate justice we have to read, so I stop there. Finish.